up, guys? So, continuing the Marvel movie marathon, today's movie that I'm going to be talking about is Thor The Dark World, which is directed by Alan Taylor. Let's get this over with. This is one movie in the marathon that I wasn't looking forward to. It's not like I hate it, it's just the prospect of watching Thor The Dark World felt more like a chore than a joy. Like, I'm actually genuinely excited to rewatch Ragnarok. I'm really pumped to watch that film again. But The Dark World, God, it's just so bland and passable. I wouldn't say it's unwatchable, but it just doesn't do anything to get me excited, you know? The plot is about as generic as they come. An evil elf called Malekith wants to take over the universe using the aether, which turns out to be one of the 5 Infinity Stones. It's the red one. What's his motivations, you ask? Well, he's evil. That's about it. Of course, it's up to our hero Thor to stop him. Yeah, groundbreaking. I saw Thor The Dark World as a plaster that you just need to pull off, just get it over and done with, quick and painless. That way we can move on to much better things. I saw this in the cinemas back when it first came out, and I remember feeling underwhelmed by it, and I was hoping that maybe with time I might have come to appreciate it a bit more, but sadly, it's not the case with Thor Ragnarok. Thor The Dark World. Thor Ragnarok's amazing. Thor The Dark World, on the other hand, is disjointed, wobbly, and rather lackluster. And basic. Supposedly, the fate of the universe hangs in the balance, but not once did I ever get a feeling of stakes. The villain Malekith, played by Christopher Eccleston, might actually be the most forgettable villain in the entire MCU. He has no presence, no charisma, and I can't even remember what he even does in this movie. And that's how forgettable he is. I watched this movie last night, so it's fresh in my mind, but I honestly still can't really remember what it is he does in this movie. I will say, though, that the prosthetic makeup is impressive, but there's a double-edged sword when you've got an actor in a lot of prosthetics, because you run the risk of losing an actor's ability to convey lots of emotions when they're buried under loads of prosthetics. It can be done, because we've seen it done before with Ben Mendelsohn in Captain Marvel. He does a really good job of conveying many different emotions underneath a lot of prosthetic makeup. But with Christopher Eccleston, he just has the same vacant expression on his face for the entirety of this film. It's like, show me happy, show me sad, show me amused, show me angry. It's all the same thing. It's very underwhelming. One of my criticisms of the first Thor movie is that I found the romance between Thor and Jane Foster to be quite forced, and I was hoping that in this film the romance would be developed a bit more and feel a bit more organic and believable. And is that the case? I will say the writers do attempt to flesh out the romance a bit, particularly like the first third of the movie. But the problem is, the romance is undercut by the fact that Jane Foster becomes a literal damsel in distress for, like, the majority of this movie. Which I don't think Natalie Portman was too happy about. Her performance just feels like she doesn't want to be there, she's only here because of contractual obligations. It doesn't really feel like she's putting in much effort, but can you blame her when all she has to do is just sort of be in the background, have a nap, look unwell, and now just dance around some CGI red goo. It's just the most passive performance possible. And she has a freaking Oscar, so yeah, it's not really a challenge for her, this type of movie. Weirdly, she has a bigger part in this movie than the first Thor movie, but she has less to do. I don't know how that even works. That's maths I don't understand. So yeah, her character feels mishandled, like they didn't know what to do with her, and it shows in the end product. The attempts at humor are also quite lame in this, which is surprising because apparently Joss Whedon was hired as a consultant to help make the script a little bit more funny, but I didn't really laugh much. You've got scenes where Stellan Skarsgård is running around Stonehenge naked. Enough said. But it also doesn't make sense. Last time we saw Eric Selvig in the Avengers, he seemed to have snapped back to reality after Loki did the magical whammy on him. So why is he all of a sudden crazy now in Thor The Dark World? It's just a lack of emotional character continuity between the movies. The editing is also inconsistent. Take this scene where Thor and Loki are fighting Malekith, and Thor flies into Malekith's direction where he's standing next to his spaceship. Thor suddenly gets punched, and then they find themselves nowhere near this spaceship, and then literally in the 5 seconds from where Thor got punched, this spaceship is now magically up in the air, it's taken off. Obviously there was more to the scene which got cut out, but it's so poorly concealed that it makes the action scenes feel disjointed. It also doesn't help when you've got dialogue like this.
See you in hell, monster.
I love Tom Hiddleston, and he did what he could with that line, but it is just abysmal dialogue. Tom Hiddleston is still the best actor in the Thor franchise, and he was my favourite part about The Dark World. His performance, he actually manages to find some nuance with Loki, especially when he finds out the death of another character. But everyone else feels like they're phoning it in, particularly Natalie Portman, Anthony Hopkins, Rene Russo, and to an extent, Chris Hemsworth. It just doesn't feel like he's having as much fun in this movie. Like when you go from a Joss Whedon script with the Avengers amount of wit to something as sci-fi channel-y as this, it's understandable why he probably wasn't having as much passion for this project. And then you've got characters where 2 movies in, and I still don't know their character names, and I don't care for them. Who is this character? I genuinely don't know who she is. I feel like I'm supposed to care about her, but I don't. And this guy, who even is this guy? Was he in the first one? I honestly can't even remember if he was. I feel bad for these actors because they're not terrible actors, it's just the roles are so forgettable. There's also so many, well, that was lucky moments in The Dark World. Like, you know, proper Deus Ex Machina situations where all hope seems to be lost for the characters, but at the very last second, something happens to save them. It's just lazy writing. On the plus side, I will say that the visual effects definitely have been improved since the first film, but that's really where the improvements stop. So let's ask those questions. Would I recommend this or skip it? I'm gonna say skip this one. Normally with mediocre superhero movies, there's at least enough fun, entertaining action or some stellar performances worth tuning in for, but I can't really say that with The Dark World. I found the action to be quite generic and really basic and bland. Oh yeah, I'd say skip it. And the second question, what score to give it out of 10? It's not unwatchable, but it's not particularly enjoyable. So I'm gonna give Thor The Dark World a score of 3.5 out of 10. You can't help but wonder, what would Patty Jenkins have done differently if she had actually directed this film like they'd planned? But I guess we'll never know. So yeah, there's a good chance that Thor The Dark World might be my least favourite MCU movie. But as always guys, it's just one bloke's opinion. What do you guys think of Thor The Dark World? Love it? Hate it? Whatever you think about it, pop your opinions in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram, it's in the video description. Find all the information there. And if you want more movie and TV content just like this, don't forget to click subscribe. And as always, for more things related to movies, TV, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Airfield. And I'll see you next time.